Hi, and welcome to IELTS Cast, episode 125. If you're new to this podcast, I create original speech shadowing exercises that help support your training for IELTS speaking. This week, we're looking at part 3 of an exam that was heavily focused on the topic of cultural traditions. Last week, we looked at part 2 of this same exam, wherein the candidate talked about the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Fitr and how this holiday is celebrated in Indonesia. This week's Part 3 questions build upon this topic. The examiner asks the candidate to talk about other holidays in Indonesia, and then asks the candidate to talk more broadly about holidays by asking whether or not holidays are becoming globalized. I'll read the questions the examiner asks to you now. In Indonesian culture, what are some traditional celebrations or events that are widely celebrated? How have these traditional celebrations changed over the years? Do you think it's important to preserve cultural traditions in today's fast-paced world? Do you think celebrations and events have become more globalized in recent years? As always, the model response you will hear in this episode was scripted by an active IELTS examiner at the Band 9 level. Let's listen to the model now.
In your culture, what are some traditional celebrations or events that are widely celebrated?
In Indonesian culture, there are several traditional celebrations that hold significant importance. One of the most prominent festivals is the International Jazz Festival of Jakarta, which typically involves live performances by renowned jazz artists from around the world. Another noteworthy celebration is Independence Day, which provides an opportunity for the entire Indonesian community to come together. It is a time for family gatherings and various cultural activities.
How have these traditional celebrations changed over the years?
I think one of the most notable changes is the modernization of customs and traditions. For instance, the International Jazz Festival of Jakarta has incorporated modern music technologies and global jazz trends into its performances. Independence Day has seen an increase in community engagement through social media and digital platforms.
Do you think it's important to preserve cultural tradition in today's fast-paced world?
Absolutely. I believe it's essential to preserve cultural traditions in today's fast-paced world. These traditions serve as a link to our heritage and help us maintain our cultural identity. Furthermore, cultural traditions often impart valuable life lessons, instill a sense of respect for diversity, and foster a deep appreciation for our roots.
Do you think celebrations and events have become more globalized in recent years?
Yes, I do. With the advancement of technology and increased connectivity, the world has become a smaller place. As a result, people from different cultures and backgrounds have greater exposure to celebrations and events from around the globe, and this helps to highlight some common values between all cultures on Earth. For instance, Teachers' Day is now celebrated in most countries around the world. This globalization of celebrations can foster a sense of global unity among people from diverse backgrounds. While this global trend is positive in many ways, I think it's also important to strike a balance between global influences and the preservation of local traditions.
Thank you.
Okay, this week we are going to do a speech shadowing exercise that uses one of the sentences from the response. I'll read this portion of the sample again to you now just to refresh your memory. So the examiner asks, in Indonesian culture, what are some traditional celebrations or events that are widely celebrated? And the candidate says, in Indonesian culture, there are several traditional celebrations that hold significant importance. Okay, we will now start the speech shadowing exercise. Remember that you can access the full version of this exercise, plus over 100 other exercises, by becoming a paid subscriber through YouTube. Look to the description area of this episode to find a join link. Okay, if this is your first time doing a speech shadowing exercise, remember you should be speaking aloud as you listen. So you will first hear a portion of the sample, and then you will be given a pause within which to repeat what you have heard. And the point of the exercise is to try to adjust your pronunciation to sound as much like the model as possible. Okay, let's go ahead and start this week's speech shadowing exercise. Enjoy.
In your culture, what are some traditional celebrations or events that are widely celebrated?
In Indonesian culture, there are several traditional celebrations that hold significant importance. That hold significant importance. 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 Significant importance. That hold significant importance. There are several traditional celebrations traditional celebrations traditional celebrations There are several traditional celebrations There are several traditional celebrations in Indonesian culture. In Indonesian culture, In Indonesian culture, there are several traditional celebrations that hold significant importance. I hope you found that exercise helpful. Remember to visit IELTS.com to sign up for the free newsletter. Thank you for leaving a like or a 5-star review on this episode, and join me again next week for another speech shadowing exercise.